So, hello everyone. It is the day before the 18th of May, the day before the first semi-final. So, we are sort of gearing up towards the jury semi-final. I can't believe we're even in this bit. It's mental. Um, yes, so obviously what are we doing here other than just being all fantastically pretty and everything? We are here to predict. So, um, who wants to kick us off and just tell us who they think will qualify?
Oh, just giving the 10 straight off the bat.
Why not?
Okay. So I'm just thinking Lithuania, Russia, Sweden. I'm trying to think. No, I'm gonna have to get my phone up. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, don't worry, I had to do the same thing.
I've got Wikipedia up on another tab.
Be thankful, honestly, for the power of technological shit.
Um, I've got Russia, Lithuania,
Mhm.
Cyprus, Sweden, Ireland, Malta, Azerbaijan, Croatia, Ukraine. How many have I named? I think I've named 8. Getting tough now. I feel I'm going to go Norway and Ireland, but like that, those last two I'm really unsure on. I think easily Belgium could make it. Israel could make it. Romania could make it.
I think that's the thing. I think in this
I've settled with. I just think that Tix and Leslie's performances are a little bit more complete, a little bit more accessible, and it will ultimately be those two that make it because of that. But I could see if one of the other three did make it, Roxanne, Eden, or Hooverphonic, it would be one of those two that went out. But yeah, I'm gonna go with my last two being Tix and Leslie, just simply because I think
interesting.
Honestly, I think I could make a case for every single country qualifying in some way. And I feel like for me, a lot of it is in terms of almost balance of songs and things like that. So it does make it very, very difficult. There are sort of a few that I think are probably more certain qualifiers. So I think Lithuania is, Russia, Cyprus, Ukraine and Malta. I think all of those are pretty sure qualifiers. And then it gets really tough. I could make a case for every single other act. And again, I've done the same thing Jazzi did and sort of just forgotten how many I've named. I think I think either Croatia or Israel will qualify. Possibly 2 out of Croatia, Israel, and Azerbaijan, because they have somewhat similar performance aesthetics. They both have this sort of beautiful woman with dancers surrounding her, singing an upbeat pop song with pink, blue, and gold surrounding them. I think they could capture the same audience. And so it depends what of those audiences are going to, which one are they going to go for the most out of all of them? From a vocal perspective, I could see Slovenia and or North Macedonia getting through. I don't think they'd get enough televote to make it, but I wouldn't say absolutely no, never. Australia is a huge 50-50 for me. People are either going to love the song or hate the song, and it depends how many fall into those camps. Ireland, again, if this performance stands out, I can absolutely see it making the final. Norway has a great slot in the running order, and again, I think both Jazzi and I have said previously, he's the only male vocalist in 10 songs. So again, and that could do very well for him, and he's got that very visually striking stage performance. Belgium is unlike anything else in the semi. Romania is really touching, really effective, and it's so difficult to choose
Got
who
choose
would
five.
actually make it.
Oh, I feel that, trust me. I think for me, okay, I'm gonna get the list up so I know who I'm talking about. There's certain ones that are definitely sort of qualifying for me. They are Lithuania, Russia, Sweden, Cyprus, Ukraine, and Malta. So they're definitely six. There's definitely six that are definitely making it through. I mean, we know that Sweden has been faltering a little bit, but it's not enough to warrant it being a potential borderline qualifier. If it was a borderline qualifier, I think pretty much Sweden would be done for, essentially. Out of what's left, it really is an open bag. I would love to say Croatia is going to qualify because it's something that's completely like out of character for them. And, you know, the striking blue pink kind of dance style thing, all on the catwalk as well. I think that's going to be a really interesting stage show that I think a lot of people will like. I do think potentially Ireland will make it through as well because the staging is so innovative, really. And, you know, it's not something that we've seen from Ireland before either. And, you know, maybe this might just be because we've been spoiled by rehearsals or something, but I do think as well that Leslie's vocal performance has just improved upon each performance. And if she keeps going with that, then I don't see why she wouldn't be able to give a flawless sort of semi-final performance and make it into the final. I think that would be fantastic. Out of the other two, then it's really quite hard to say because Azerbaijan obviously is quite popular, but it's not had as much hype as other songs, for example, like Miracle or Hold Me, or even Cleopatra, like her last song. But it has the potential to be visually quite striking. I do think potentially Israel might have fallen by the wayside now. I do think compared to the rest of the stage shows that we've seen, it does look like it's a little bit rough. If I had to be pinned down, though, I think I'd have to give it to Belgium and Australia, partly for Belgium because, you know, like Rosie said, it's completely different from everything else we have in the semi-final. It's a lot more kind of chilled back. It's a lot more visually quite different because you go from like, you know, Tix, then Albina, and then all of a sudden it's just dark. It's just black. And I think that's going to be something it's going to capture a lot of people. And then I do think Australia could sneak it in purely for the fact, maybe like of the song itself is fantastic. And, you know, I very much rate Montaigne and I love her song and I think she does really well. But I think when you take that kind of thing out, the song itself is not like, it's not the most safe Eurovision song we've ever seen before. But I do think it could potentially sneak in because Australia is the only country not to be performing in Rotterdam. And I think a lot of people will hone that in and they'll be like, oh, like they feel so, like they might feel sorry for them and be like, okay, right, this is what we have to do to try and get them in. And as almost like a pity thing, but it's not even a pity thing. It's just for the sake of showing solidarity, perhaps. But yeah, so they are my 10 qualifiers. They are Lithuania, Russia, Sweden, Australia, Ireland, Cyprus, Croatia, Belgium. Oh wait, Ukraine and Malta. I've overgone by one. I thought
Who are you cutting, Rory? Who are you cutting?
I don't know. God, who am I cutting? I think I'll cut Azerbaijan I think, because I don't see why Azerbaijan, like the song itself is great, but when in such a strong semi-final, I don't see why they wouldn't, like how they could make it through, unless some people really do just love Mata Hari that much, but I doubt it. Um, but yes, just one final thing before we sort of drop this off. Who do you think is winning the semi-final, and who do you think is coming last in the semi-final?
Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh,
Oh, that's really difficult.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Oh.
here.
Who do I think is winning? I think I would go either between Russia and Malta, and I think it's probably going to be Malta. Coming last, I really, really, really hate to say it, but I think it could be North Macedonia. And I feel really horrible saying that, but I think I have the weakest argument for Vasil to qualify, and therefore he's probably the least likely one to, if that makes sense.
Winning. I would go Malta or Lithuania, but ultimately I probably would go Malta as well, just because Jury's gonna love it, and I think Televoters are gonna love her as well. So I'd probably go Malta. Coming last. It's hard because I feel like there's stuff in Slovenia and North Macedonia's performances where I do think the juries are going to give them some credit, and I feel whoever comes last is not going to like get 0 points, etc. But maybe I do just have to go North Macedonia. It's not as memorable as the others, but I do think the jury will give him some credit. So I don't think it's going to be always going to get 0 points and come last. I think he'll come last, but it'll still be quite high scoring.
Yeah, I think as great as Vasil is and as strong as Here I Stand is in any other year, I think given how given how the quality is so high for 2021, I don't see this getting higher than the bottom two. And if it does, I will be very shocked. I will be very surprised. I do definitely think, I think we should just preface, well, we say preface, but we've already given our opinions. Preface this by saying, like, everyone is still going to get a fairly respectable result, and there will be points given. There's not going to be one country that's gotten 0 points across the board, because every country has something to like, and that's what I think is fantastic. But I do think North Macedonia is the weaker of the two, like the weaker of the two songs that are definitely in the bottom two. I think Slovenia will probably be second last, but I wouldn't imagine by too much. I wouldn't, yeah, it's kind of a hard one. And then with the winner, I do think it could be a toss-up between Malta, Russia, and maybe even Ukraine, because Ukraine is so far out there, and it's delivered so well in each performance. Even with the stand-in singer, it still sounded so good and it looks so good on stage. So, but I do think given how Destiny's voice is so strong, it's just her visual presence is so striking, and you know, the person that performs in last place always manages to qualify, with the exception of Triana Park in 2017. And given how that's just the tradition, I don't see why Malta wouldn't win this semi-final. I think the stage show itself is just so strong.
I feel like it could happen again this year about the last place not qualifying, but that's for Wednesday's video.
We'll see. We'll see, because I don't know. A lot of people seem to be really catching on to Firoflama now, so who knows?
I'm one of them, but I think that now I've got onto it, and I do now really like it. Like now it's definitely not going to qualify.
No, I think it probably will come down to either Malta / Ukraine or North Macedonia, I think, for first and last place respectively. I think it's just a question of who comes where in between. And it's so hard because this year is so open. We like, even going into the first semi-final, we don't know who's going to win. And that is weird.
We
'Cause
have
usually
four.
by now it's a bit clear cut.
Usually we have a feeling about like who's going to win the semi. We don't even know who's going to win in the final.
Yeah. It's mental, honestly. It's usually it's so much more clear cut, and now it's just like so
Like we're going into both semis like with 14 songs probably in both that could easily make it.
mm,
It just depends on who's watching.
I do think just before we wrap things up, I do think had half of the songs from semi-final 1 been in semi-final 2, this would have been far easier to tell. I think it would have been far easier to predict who would have made it and who wouldn't have made it. But that's just how the chips fall, I guess, you know. But yeah, do we have any sort of final points just before we wrap things up?
I'm so hyped and also terrified.
I'm scared.
Oh, the lights have gone off.
I'm kind of glad that there's a good chance that me and Rosie will be together tomorrow to at least be moral support.
We're gonna
Yeah.
need it.
It's going to be worth, I think it might be needed. Oh God. Well, yes, that takes us to the end of this video. I can't believe we are almost at semi-final 1, like after like 4 months of like nothing. Well, not even 4 months, almost 6 months at this point of like covering national selections, internal selections, podcast after podcast after podcast. It's been mental. We are so hyped for it, and honestly, it's going to be amazing. So what's going to happen is that we are going to publish this right before the jury semi-final starts, and afterwards we are going to after the actual broadcast of semi-final 1, once we have all of the qualifiers and all of the qualifiers have drawn their respective halves, we are going to go live and on YouTube, and we are going to stream, and we are just going to kind of not decompose. No,
Decompose. I might be decomposing given how dead I'll be after that.
well, probably, yeah. But no, we are going to like debrief everything what's been going on and make out, oh, who sounded really good, who didn't sound really good. Are we shocked about a certain qualifier or not a shock non-qualifier? Because it really could be that way. So follow us on our social media. We will be giving links along the way, so be prepared for that. We will give you notifications as well on our social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. So just follow us there to make sure you remember to go for there for your first initial reactions. And yeah, I am just so ready for this. Are we ready for this, or are we?
It's been 2 years and I'm not over it.
Literally, it's been 2 years coming.
I'm ready, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready to lose so many good acts. Who's ready for that?
Who knows? Honestly, I mean, I'm so excited, but also like petrified at the same time. So, is this what is it, to quote oh God, what was her name? Cyprus Junior Eurovision 2017. Is this what anxiety is like? I don't know. Anyway, right. Shall we all say goodbye?
Bye.